A little bit. Hello, all. Welcome to the next episode of the Data and Analytics live stream. Today we have Ariel here, and we talk about blockchain and the Web 2.0 or 3.0. And yeah, the people or you can get a certification for attending today. It's this link you see in the bottom line, and also we are hope we get some questions here, so you can ask in the chat. So I will collect it where Eric presentation is topic, and also we are like to connect. So I say write the hashtag lion, so we so we can connect. You're open for connecting, and when you like more to know or more events, you can go on the meetup page. And Eric, nice to have you here today.
Well, thank you. Good to be here.
It's really early in Los Angeles, or?
I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Oh, sorry, Las Vegas. Yeah, but I think it's also really early today. It's all the people say the Americans are stupid, they don't know about German, and then I make this epic failure. Sorry.
Well, I believe it's a 9-hour time difference between where you are and where I am, because you're in Central European time, I believe, correct?
Yeah. And we talked today about blockchain. So my introducing question is, there's a lot of, you go on YouTube and you Google crypto, blockchain, NFT, and you get all this, I don't know, I call them experts. I use this, and you got a lot of scam, I think. Is it a problem for the scene?
I think nowadays, it doesn't matter whether it's a traditional business or a new technology. Unfortunately, there are scams everywhere. I'm actually working with a client right now who isn't just a traditional business. They do bathroom remodels, and we're actually rebranding him as a senior consumer advocate because a lot of these salespeople who are selling for the competitors, they are literally scammers, and they are charging seniors, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 more than they have to, and they get away with it. So nowadays, I'd say you need to do a lot of research. Don't believe anything that's just presented in front of you. Do a little bit of homework before you jump into something. Now, with the crypto world, okay, so we have two different things with blockchain.
Yeah.
One is the technology, and then the other one is cryptocurrency, which is a use case. And with crypto, people got really excited about it, but then there were these meme coins and junk coins, and different influencers would promote a particular coin or token, or then even also NFTs. When the NFTs first came out, I never saw any reason why anyone would put any money into it, because it was no different than having a logo. And a logo isn't a brand. A logo is just a picture. And you really have to do a little bit more research and not just jump into things. Now, with blockchain, it's, any kind of investment is still going to be high risk, high reward. But the better you are in your homework and understanding what's going on and determining whether there's actual utility behind whatever it is that you are investing in, the better off you're going to be.
Yeah, I have buy some, how is it called, beer coins for 1 cent. That was a great price. Okay, it's only 1 cent, and it's stable 1 cent, but it's called beer coin. It is great. Yeah, thank you so much for answering this question. It's amazing. Also, the certifications. So today, it's also NFT. We have also this, yeah, what was it, like LinkedIn certification stuff done. So, yeah. So I think I go from the stage and let you explain your topic about democratization of data, blockchain disruptive impact on Web 2.0.
Well, so when um, I've been involved in one way, shape, or form with computers since 1984. That's when I bought my very first computer. But you know, technology isn't necessarily where I have my main focus. It's just something that I got passionate about. My background is primarily in marketing and marketing communications, but I got involved with computers in 1984. Was working in the entertainment industry, and in the company that I was in, I was the only one in my department that was using computers, and I saw the value of them early on. So I kind of just always started working with that. In 1991, I went and started with uh, a software company. And with that company, we sold their software to the PGA of America, which is the world's largest sports organization, professional sports organization. And eventually, we developed the first CRM for that organization. Now, by the way, the concept of CRM didn't come around until 1999. But this was 1991 when we were building this equivalent of a CRM. Then in 1995, I started my own software company, and we developed the first Windows-based club management system for high-end commercial, hospital, and corporate fitness centers. And I had a lot of the Fortune 500 companies as clients. Eventually, I got out of software. I just decided I didn't want anything to do with it. I was really getting sick and tired of software users because it was just very difficult to teach people how to use computers. Now, again, that was 1995 to 2003. So I went into the golf industry, and eventually I was the CEO of the Southern Nevada Golf Association. Make a long story short, I got sick, dropped out of work in 2014, and was incapable of working at all until 2022. So when I came back and was able to work, and I'm a type A person, it's like, okay, what am I going to do? Where can my talents best help out others? And I said, a lot of things have changed since 2014. We're making this transition now to this thing called Web3. And what is Web3? Well, it's virtual reality, it's mixed reality, it's cryptocurrency, it's blockchain, it's all sorts of different things. And I said, that's because I've always been a little bit more ahead of the game and had a good understanding of technology. I said, this is the direction I should go. I'm going to help people transition from our current Web 2.0 world to a Web 3.0 world. But then I quickly came to the realization that even today, in 2024, the vast majority of people that we deal with on a day-to-day basis barely function in a Web 1.0 world. So maybe transitioning them from Web 2 to Web 3 might be a bit too much for them. Now, there's always going to be somebody along the way that's ready. And when they're ready, I'm there to help them. But it's amazing how difficult that can be. So I'll give you an example. One of my first consulting gigs when I came back was with one of the premier marketers in the world. I'm not going to say his name or anything, but I'll just give his moniker. He's known as the godfather of digital marketing. Started in 1995. And I was working on some software development projects for them, and they were doing some traditional Web 2 applications. Now, when I say Web 2, basically all I mean by that is that there was a database managing all of the data behind the scenes, but it was an old-fashioned centralized database. What does that mean? That means the data resided on a cloud server. So maybe it was on AWS, maybe it was on Google Cloud, maybe it was on Microsoft Azure servers. But it was all of their data on one central point, and that's old 2.0 technology. Well, the software that we were developing, we were using more of a modern language called Vue.js, JavaScript. And the database on the back end was called MongoDB, which is a very popular database for creating applications these days. And it just so happens that MongoDB has the ability to be written natively to the blockchain. And I suggested that they consider doing that because they could continue their development process exactly the way it was. I would take on the blockchain project. It wouldn't interrupt anything, but it would add a layer of data security that they didn't already have. And at the time, because it was earlier on in the life cycle of blockchain, I knew that investors would automatically put an extra value into that company. And this company, what they said is they wanted to build this company up and then sell it. Well, if adding a blockchain layer is going to add 3 to 10x to the value of the company just because you have a blockchain layer, why wouldn't you do it? And they didn't get it. Don't understand why. So what does that mean by having a blockchain layer? So blockchain is just a different way of storing data, but it's doing it in a way that makes it safe and secure. And it's not 100% unhackable. It's about as close to unhackable as you can possibly get. So again, let's do the comparison. In a centralized database, I have my data and it's on, for the sake of argument, Amazon Web Services. And maybe they have some backup servers for redundancy in case one of the servers goes down. And they're located at 3 or 4 different locations across the world. But if I'm a hacker, all I have to do is break into the database in one place, and I can easily change the data, and you may or may not know anything about it. I bring it down to something even a little bit more simple, and that is a spreadsheet. So a spreadsheet is a centralized flat file database. And we all know that it consists of rows and columns and cells. So in a centralized database, it all resides in one place. So let's say we have some data on a spreadsheet, and we have something in A1 and something in B1, and then a formula in C1. So A1 plus B1 equals C1. If I hack into the data and change the value in A1, I'm obviously going to also automatically change the value in C1, and you may or may not know about it. Now, on the blockchain, it's stored totally differently. There's hundreds of thousands of nodes on a network which store all of the data, and it's all in a big peer-to-peer network. And if I go and store that same data, the fact is that A1 is going to be on one computer somewhere in the world. B1 is going to be on a totally different computer somewhere in the world. C1 is going to be on a third computer somewhere in the world. And then we also add D1. And what D1 is, it's a value that is cryptographically created to be a check digit on the other 3 cells, the other 3 pieces of data. So what happens is, and this is a good example where you would understand this, is your credit card. In your credit card, the very last number on your credit card number is a check digit. So if you happen to put your credit card number in and you transpose 2 digits in your credit card, the formula to calculate that check digit won't match, and it'll tell you that you have an invalid card. Well, the same thing in a blockchain. If for some reason you change a value in one place and it doesn't match up with that check digit, it's going to say it's not a valid change. So the only way for a hacker to change the data is to be able to find which computers or nodes on the network have your data, and simultaneously, within micromilliseconds, hack into all of those computers that store that data, including the check digit, and change it all simultaneously. That's why blockchain is called immutable. It's very hard to change. And that provides a layer of security. And in this day and age where you really can't trust what's going on, this provides an extra layer of trust. Now, by the way, for people that don't understand blockchain, again, a good example of how these nodes kind of work is your cell phone. So when you're working on your cell phone and you're driving around in your car, sometimes you're losing your signal. And it's because your signal is going from one cell tower to another cell tower. Now, those cell towers are interconnected. They're talking to one another, but each cell tower only has a particular range for your cell signal. Well, each cell tower is a node on the cellular network. It's very similar to nodes on the blockchain. So why do people want to move applications now to the blockchain? It's for a couple of reasons. One, it's to keep your data more secure. It's also to create democratization of your data. When you have good companies using the blockchain in the right way, you're no longer necessarily dealing with some monolithic company that's going to make decisions that are going to impact your life over their application, because it's a community of node owners instead of shareholders that make the decisions about how that particular application runs. So when you see great applications, and this is where use cases are very, very important, you want to look at blockchain projects that don't just say we're on the blockchain. You want to look at the project, and does that project make sense? Does it seem to have market viability? Does it seem to be something that is disruptive to whatever industry it's trying to take on? And then you can make that decision whether it's worth the risk or not of investing in it. And so we look for those types of applications. We also look at ways that we can take existing applications and apply our knowledge and maybe create blockchain layers and create new utility for different blockchains. And then, by the way, the only place where cryptocurrency comes involved is that the rewards that you earn or the way you do transactions on a blockchain is going to be through some type of currency, and that's where the cryptocurrency comes in. It's just a means of exchange that's very easy to deal with in a global nature. Cryptocurrency in terms of trading is really no different than the Forex exchange when you're trading currency, for instance, from US dollars to euros. Here we're changing it from Bitcoin to Ethereum to whatever token is on that particular network. And the value is based on trading volume, just like it is on the stock market. And it's based on the utility behind whatever it is that it is you're doing the exchange for. So that's a very quick, high-level overview of blockchain and Web3. And the whole idea of transitioning is taking people who have the traditional things in our Web2 world that we're all used to and figuring out ways to make them better and disruptive and protect your data in this Web3 world.
Thank you so much for the introducing in the blockchain. And you have also a company. It's called your company, and it's called Megafluence. You also use blockchain there?
We are actually so again, when I'm dealing with most people today, we're dealing with people that are barely functioning in a Web 1 world. They have a business. So we get them into the Web 2 world at the very least and put in marketing automation systems. And where we get to Web 3 is when they're ready, and sometimes they want to jump in faster, they want to now get into AI. And AI is definitely Web 3 technology, but a lot of people aren't ready for AI yet. And, we only have, while there's some adoption of things like ChatGPT, it is the fastest growing application ever created by man. Not everyone is ready for it, but we have programs tied in with our Web 2 application, our Megafluence Suite, which is a marketing automation system that add AI components to it. That said, we're also looking at some applications that we've done in the past and how we can modernize it and take it to the next level and create that competitive advantage over other applications that would be competing against by making it Web3 oriented. And so I can't give you too much detail on the project I'm working on, but we're looking at a project right now that is going to be fiat currency agnostic, meaning I don't care if you want to get paid in euros or yen or dollars or whatever, but it's also going to be cryptocurrency agnostic. So if you want to exchange for Bitcoin or Ethereum or some other coin, we'll be able to do that. And so we're going to try to create this ecosystem where you can be part of something where you get to be rewarded however you want to get rewarded. So
Nice.
we are working on that. And then I have a relationship with a great new company that has created some great opportunities for people if they're interested. And it has some very nice disruptive opportunities in it. One of them, and if you want to know more about it, I'll briefly go into it. One of them is a blockchain company that is taking on Uber
Okay.
and rideshare. Now, the other one that I'm involved with is taking on Zoom.
Was no, Timio was German. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, yeah.
So Zoom obviously because of the pandemic really took off. But when you're looking at applications like Zoom, the fact is that while it's a great service for an individual to connect virtually in a meeting, the bottom line is the company is collecting that data and you're their product. They're taking all of that data about you and your behavior, collecting data about your computer, and they're selling it to people.
Yeah, that's called, we call it data products.
That's right. You are, in this day and age, especially with centralized systems, you are the data product more than not. So we have a new product. It's coming out of beta right now, so it actually exists. We actually do conduct meetings on it, and it's called R-Link. And you can have meetings via this new platform. What makes it different and why it's going to be disruptive is, first of all, as the meeting host, obviously we pay subscription fees to Zoom right now. It's going to have lower fees. So that's one win because we have to pay less. As a user, obviously anyone can connect to a Zoom meeting for free as a user. But again, you're connecting for free. That's because they want your data and you are the product. So in this, you're anonymous because you're on the blockchain. They don't know who you are, where you are. You're connecting in a different way. The data isn't given to any monolithic company that has access to your data. So it's totally different. And here's the big thing that makes it different is you can earn rewards just for participating in the meeting. So isn't that great? I can invite you to a meeting, you come for an hour, you hear me talk, and guess what? Not only do you get the great wealth of knowledge that I'm providing you, but you also get some tokens as a reward. Now, obviously in its infancy, and you know this, we were talking about this earlier, when tokens first come out, they might not be worth a whole heck of a lot, maybe less than a penny. But when you get those tokens over time, if the technology and the concept take off, the value of the tokens take off. I mean, think about it. Bitcoin at one point was under a penny, and now it's $60-some thousand. Well, just think about it. You went to a quote unquote R-Link meeting and you got 10 tokens, maybe you got a whole 5 cents in value. Yeah. But tomorrow, maybe a year from now, that's going to be worth $10,000.
Yeah, I have lived in Berlin. We have getting like automates where we can pay bills for time. But I don't live longer there, so I don't know if it would stay there. But this was really interesting development for me. Um,
So that's just one of them. Now this other one, the Uber one, what makes that one interesting? And this is, so I had a meeting with the CEO of that company, and this is how his concept came about. So he was, I don't remember where he was, but he had a long Uber ride to wherever he was going. And it was like a 5:30 a.m. pickup, and he gets in the car, and as he's talking with the driver, he says to the driver, so just tell me, how much are you earning from this ride? Now it's all about the gig economy. It's supposed to create that democratization where you can have control over your own destiny and have your own little business by doing rideshare. And the person driving said, oh, I'm making like $95 from this ride. And the passenger, the CEO, he goes, well, that's interesting because I paid $270. So Uber collected $270 and basically gave less than a third to the driver. And it's the driver who had to get up, be there on time, put the wear and tear on their car, pay for the insurance, pay for the gas, and all of that stuff. The liability was all really with the driver, not with Uber, and they're raking in all the money. And he didn't like that. He said, there's got to be a better way. So he came up with this concept called Revo, short for revolution, and Revo Ride. And the whole idea there is that we would charge the customers less, we would give the drivers more, and then guess what? When you participate in a Revo Ride, the driver gets rewards in the form of tokens, and so does the passenger, above and beyond just having to pay for the ride.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Okay. So again, it's another area of democratization.
Yeah.
So what they've done is they've gone and there's an organization called Connect that has a number of interesting disruptive blockchain technologies in different sectors, and they're growing with new things all the time. So for instance, they have something called Grow, which is to help offset carbon credits and deal with the democratization of agriculture. There's, what else is there? There's the Galvin Smart Node, which is the world's first health and wellness blockchain. There's one called Element, which is a mining blockchain. There's the Give Smart Node, which is earning digital rewards when you go deal with your donations in a different way. So there's all sorts of different blockchain utility applications are being created all the time. And through Web Connect, you can actually become, if you're interested in these technologies, you can buy nodes. Okay. Now, by the way, so if people who are listening don't know what a node is like owning a toll booth on the Autobahn. Wouldn't that be great if you owned a toll booth and every single car that passed through had to give you some money? Yeah, well, that's how people make money. And those of people who are familiar with crypto, like Ethereum, you know that you have to pay what's called a gas fee. And the gas fee is how you pay for those transactions to be processed on all of those nodes. And that is a transaction fee that goes to the node owners. Similarly, by the way, when you use a credit card, there is a percentage that's paid by the merchant. So you have the convenience of using your credit card with them. So you can be an investor in the blockchain by owning nodes on a network, and you just decide whose nodes you want to have a toll booth on. And different nodes, of course, come at different prices. And again, if you have a good utility, so let's just say, for the sake of argument, Revo Ride takes off and everyone loves it. And by the way, Revo Ride is in 100 cities in the United States already, with No, excuse me, it's in 40 cities in the United States with over 100,000 drivers already. So it is a live application. It is actually being used in places. Obviously, it's in a beta test mode before it really rolls out. But let's say that you're interested in that and it takes off. Well, then again, eventually the value of the node goes up. You can buy and sell your nodes just like you can buy and sell stock on the stock market. And it's a way for you as an investor to reap the rewards and make money. So that's what nodes are all about. So you can buy nodes, you can decide where you buy nodes, and you can earn tokens. Now, I have a couple nodes on what's called the Wind Network. And, last I checked, I had earned like in the first month that I owned it, I earned like 20,000 tokens. Oh boy, guess what that was worth? 20 bucks. Okay. I'm not getting rich off of but I'm early on. And who knows what it's going to be worth a year from now or 2 years from now. Now, again, high risk, high reward. If I picked the wrong node and wrong network and the utility that I thought was really going to be taken off doesn't, I'm going to lose everything. Okay. But if you're a smart investor, you don't put all of your eggs in one basket anyway, and you have a diversification plan so that you only put into it what you can afford to lose. So that's a little bit about some of the applications that I'm involved with, at least right now.
Nice. Thank you so much. We have 4 questions. Normally, I start from the first one, but from research, it's a nice closing question. So I'll start with the second one. It's from Ulrike. Awesome. What is the difference between web 1, 2, 3, and what will be web 4?
What will be web 4? If that's it, I'll start with the web 4 because that's kind of a funny question. In that occasionally you'll see some, what I'll call a bro marketer. And a bro marketer is someone who uses slimy tactics to convince you that they have something more than what they've got. And you'll see someone saying, we're coming out with Web 5. I've actually seen things for Web 5 already. Web 5 does not exist. Web 4 does not exist. What is it going to look like? Who knows? Who knows? We're having enough struggle getting people into Web 3. So Web 1, what is Web 1? Well, Web 1 was basically, it was a read-only situation. Somebody would create content, you would get to see it, and that's about it. That's how the internet was first basically introduced. Is you would have, the internet was actually started by the U.S. military, and that was how they would share documents, and they would put things up on internet, and people would be able to access the data. So that was Web 1. Web 2 was a little bit different in that now it could read and write. So now you could be a contributor to a discussion and participate in things. But everything is still, whether it was Web 1 or Web 2, it was centralized. And when it's centralized, that means, again, it's on a single server and it's in control by one main party. Whoever is the owner of that website, whoever is the owner of that database, they controlled everything. Web 3 is now all sorts of new things. So it's going to be just newer technologies. So the blockchain, by the way, was the blockchain concepts, which was basically based on cryptography, was research was starting on that in the 80s. But it really didn't come out to its full extent until 2009, when a person with the nom de plume of Satoshi came up with this thing called Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin itself was not blockchain. It was the use case of showing how blockchain could come into being. So Bitcoin is the granddaddy of the blockchains, but people only knew it for was the actual cryptocurrency, not the blockchain itself. The next iteration that came out was Ethereum. And what made Ethereum stand out from Bitcoin is Ethereum was more about the technology and the blockchain itself. And then they had the currency Ethereum as a means of paying for things on the Ethereum blockchain. And what a lot of people don't know is that the vast majority of NFTs are powered off of the Ethereum blockchain. And also the bulk of the legacy banks that are out there, a lot of their data, you don't see it, but their data is actually managed on the Ethereum blockchain. Okay. But this is where we start getting into utility. Now, by the way, to show you how things have transpired, Bitcoin has its own new Lightning network, and they are now coming into the age of utility with the Bitcoin blockchain, so people can actually write applications to that blockchain, whereas for the first 15 years they couldn't. So that's actually a new advancement for the original blockchain. So what else is in Web3? It's things like virtual reality, mixed reality, augmented reality, NFTs. And NFTs, by the way, the value in an NFT is not the stupid little image that you're buying. Again, it's the image is the equivalent of a logo. It's not the brand. It's just a representation of something. And where the value of an NFT is also in the utility, and that's in the form of a smart contract. It defines when you buy something, it gives you validation over your ownership. It tells you what you can do and what you can't do with it. And it also can be programmed that when I sell it, if I'm the original owner, I can get a royalty for every transaction from now into eternity because I wrote that into a smart contract. So there's a lot of value in that. And then obviously AI, which is now large language learning models, where we are now using neural networks to help emulate the human brain and help us process information and obtain information better. So Web3 can take on a lot of different meanings and a lot of different iterations depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah, thank you so much. And there's the next question. Oh, it's from you. Also hard to speech to the name. Kamal Kassana. From India, I think. Can you share some examples of industries that are currently leading the way in utilizing blockchain for data democratization?
Again, that's it. There's a lot of people that are starting to get into it that you just aren't necessarily aware of it, because how they handle the data isn't necessarily something that's public. But you are going to see a lot of there's a lot of private blockchains that are created to handle things like logistics, so shipping, dealing with those transactions. As I mentioned before, the legacy banks are protecting a lot of their data on the blockchain, and it's also making it a little bit easier for them to transfer money from one part of the world to another, because they can transfer it easily and quickly using cryptocurrency, and then transfer that into whatever the fiat currency is of their choice. And then I mentioned to you, people who are coming up every day looking at existing industries and how can we improve upon them. So as I mentioned, we've got RevoRide, we've got R-Link, we've got Galvin, we've got Give, and the projects that we're working on. One of the things that you're going to find if you do the research into it or start looking into it is there's a lot of people investing in a lot of different projects that are based on just ideas. The problem with ideas is sometimes all they are is ideas and they're never going to come to reality.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I happen to like both RevoRide and R-Link, is they are not just ideas anymore. I've actually used the product. I know it works. It's in testing. It's going to roll out. And when it comes out, hopefully it'll have that disruptive nature that will make things a lot better for everybody.
Awesome. Yeah, first, before I come to the next questions, for the recap, you have sent me all these links so I can put it in the recap. That's a lot. And yeah, Kamal has the next question again. What are the biggest challenge in integration blockchain with existing Web 2 platforms, and how can they and how can yeah and how can they be overcome?
Uh, the biggest problem I think that you have with a lot of legacy applications is just that how they deal with their data. Um, the they sometimes, because they're so used to the thought process regarding centralized data, they, first of all, they don't see the value necessarily in the blockchain. So that's one thing. Second thing is what data needs to be stored on the blockchain for security purposes and what doesn't. So you can put everything on it. You can also say just take a subset of the data. And then now you're talking into performance. And especially when you're dealing with transactions, performance is very, very important. The last thing, and you know this, just on going on a website, you go to a website and if you see that little clock spinning and it's not giving you it, you give it 5 seconds and already it's taken too long and you want to move on to something else. So dealing with just the technological problems of latency and performance, that can be an issue as well. I don't know if there's anything. I think that that's the hardest thing, is how do people look at their existing Web 2 applications, their Web 2 databases, and figure out what they can and can't put on the blockchain, and then also have a rational reason why they need to do it.
I think also, but it's a question from my side. It could be a German problem, but we have a lot of stakeholder or gatekeeper. They don't understand what blockchain is. So I think this could be also a problem. To they say, okay, we make Web 2. It's a good buzzword, but they don't understand how we can tell them the yeah how we can tell to them what's the value of blockchain or something.
Right. And like I said, when one of the first projects I went to try to promote it was a traditional Web 2 application that was being built. And I knew that the goal of the people behind the company was to build a company and then sell it off and make money. And I know that, and I don't know if it's what the number is today, but at the time, it was just put a layer of blockchain into your app so you can say that you are blockchain based, and you're going to at least 3x the value of your company automatically. So if your company was worth 1 million today, it would be worth 3 million tomorrow. To me, that was a no-brainer, especially because it wasn't going to affect anything else that they did. And in fact, to make matters worse, I offered to do it for them for free. And they still didn't take it because they just couldn't wrap their head around what value would be in it for them. And just the valuation just wasn't there. And, when you see, here's the other thing I always point to in terms of why blockchain can be really important, is if you look at the news, we see that identity theft and scams are running rampant. In the United States alone, I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of over 30 billion with a B was lost to scams and data breaches. Well, while it's not going to eliminate data breaches 100%, it's going to come a darn near close to it compared to what you're going to have now. So if you want to protect yourself and your own identity and the things that you do, you need to start thinking about these things. I was dealing with a customer yesterday who, they don't have password management. They use the same username and password everywhere. And I can't tell you how many people use the word password as their password. And these are the people that are ripe for being ripped off by con artists and scammers and hackers. So why it's so difficult to get a password management program just to protect yourself is beyond me. But that's the struggle that I have to deal with. Again, we're dealing with people who are barely functioning in a Web 1 world, and we got to get them to a Web 3 world and just give them a basic understanding of how they need to protect themselves, their money, their assets from everyone else. And that's where the blockchain really comes into being. You know, I think that one of the next projects that the team that I work with is working on is going to be a replacement for Facebook.
Okay.
Right now, Facebook loves you. You're their product, and they're making a boatload of money off of you. You think you're getting something for free? Well, yeah, but they're using you. So, and by the way, don't tell anyone, but the same thing is true of LinkedIn and TikTok and Google. So if you can have a way to democratize that data by putting it on the blockchain and creating some level of anonymity, would that be disruptive? Would that have a value to you as a customer of that product? I think it does. We'll have to see whether it actually does or not. We don't know. These are just ideas in some cases.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting future, what's happened with blockchain and all the ideas that people have to develop it. And also, I think my first question was the bad habit to blockchain. I think you have, for me, I feel much better. And I'm not so angry. I have lost my money. It's a joke. I have not lost money on the meme coin, but yeah. And so I think we have Ritesh. He has to ask the first question, but it's sorry for that, but it's nice for closing the discussion today. What will be the future of data analytics in respect of blockchain?
Say that again. What would be the
Uh,
future of data analytics?
what would be the future of data analytics in respect of blockchain?
I don't think that the data analytics was going to necessarily change that much. You can still, you know, the data analytics is going to be, again, it's going to be on, you know, things like, you know, accessing a website. It's going to be using the same thing like a Google Tag Manager and stuff like that. So there's that front end type of stuff that's going to gather the data so you can see your statistics. You're going to see, maybe you're going to have a couple extra things, like you're going to see transactions on the blockchain itself. And so now you're going to be dealing with trading volume and stuff like that. So there's another layer of activity that you wouldn't necessarily see on traditional apps. So maybe that's some additional data analytics. So some of it is always, it's going to still be traditional. Some of it's going to be a little bit new. It's certainly going to be more knowledge about customers and customer behavior. That's for sure. I don't know if it's going to be, I don't know.
I think it could be, actually, we look from my perspective. I think what's my idea, I don't know if I'm wrong. It's could become more what data can companies use, and when they will use it, I have to get paid for it, so they can use my tokens for look more deeper in my data. So I think it's more democratizing. It's not only the companies, they share data, so I can say stop here. There are a lot of data brokers. I think when I have my data more safe, not like how is it called, Facebook or LinkedIn. Sorry for that, or Twitter or something. I think then I have more control over my data. Or I'm wrong.
Yeah. Now, by the way, the one of the things that I happen to like about this Web Connect group is that if you you can actually sign up for free, and you have access to a complete academy where you can learn about all aspects of the blockchain. And the cool thing is when you take one of their courses, you earn tokens. So you don't have to pay anything. You can actually just earn some
You can
tokens.
earn for learning.
Earn for learning, yes. And
Yeah,
so I'm
because I come from the education, and I will like ask you, how can this? Okay, we have the certificate. It's there. It's nice, and you can so submit it and get it's a really certificate. But yeah, I think that's well was my closing question. But now we have it. Yeah. So Eric, thank you so much, and for the presentation, and for the speech today. I think it was really amazing, and yeah, all the people I can say, get your certification. It's blockchain again, and yeah, thank you so much to all, and goodbye.